Is it time to say, hey, this is a soft tank? Just admit it. What should they do with Al Horford? And should the Celtics try to sign Damian Lillard? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics. I talk about them every Monday through Friday, so make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. The show drops to 3 days a week in August and September, then back to 5 days a week. Still, the most free podcasting you're going to find anywhere, so make sure you're subscribed. Get into that comment section, share your thoughts with me, John Karalis, beat writer, covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I have also written a couple of books covering the Celtics. I've been doing this job for about 20 years, so I've seen a lot when it comes to the Celtics, and I think I know what I'm seeing when it comes to this team. I think my optimism, I've been saying this during the course of this week, I don't think it's time to be as optimistic about this team anymore. Let's call it what it is. Later on, we'll get into Damian Lillard in the third segment, talk about that some more. We'll talk about Al Horford in the second segment. Today's show, by the way, brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase of tickets. Today, we're bringing in our buddy Tom Westerholm for the first time this week. Tom, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great. Obviously, for people watching
Beach
on the
living
YouTube page, I am not in my usual studio. I am enjoying a little bit of trying to balance working vacation. So my podcasting times have not exactly been Westerholm eligible, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's an official term, actually. Yeah.
Yes. So now I got you. Now I got finally this week. I know people have been clamoring for Westerholm. Fine. Here you go. So let's get Tom Westerholm on here to deliver the bad news. Hey, Tom, are the Celtics going through a soft tank?
It sure seems like it, man. Yeah, when you take a look at the moves so far, it really does seem to be pointing in a very specific, very soft, very tanky kind of direction here.
Yeah, like not a real tank.
No.
Not 4th of July coming up, not one of those Army. We're talking, but it's still a tank.
Yeah,
like the one that the kids get in, like maybe a little cardboard enhancements, and it still looks like a tank. You're like, okay, it's not real, but it's tank adjacent. It's they are. I was hoping that they would push for some sort of like, hey, look, East is going to be wide open. Let's just make a push. Let's make a run. Let's do something here. You have limited time. The second apron gives you very limited time, and you can still get down under the second apron and do this other stuff. But I just don't think that's their motivation. I don't know, Tom. I see Josh Minot come in. I see Luka Garza. I look at the names. I see Anthony Simons come in and immediately turn around. They're going to turn around and try to flip him.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem interested. They didn't even come close to a Luke Cornett deal. They don't seem interested in Al Horford sticking around, which we'll get to in the second segment. It just feels like it's cut, get under that second apron, maybe get under that first apron, maybe get under that tax, which I want to throw this out there. If they get under the tax this year, they have to get under the tax, I think, next year, because the only way to not be a repeater anymore is to get out of it. If you're a taxpayer 3 out of 4 years, you're a repeater.
Yep.
So if they get under this year, it doesn't matter because they were still taxpayers the 3 prior years.
Well, it matters, but it does indicate that something else They're not done. It matters, but they're not done with the project, and they are taking on the project of resetting the repeater if they do
That's
that.
right. So right. We're saying the same thing in different ways.
Yeah.
By getting under the tax, it doesn't reset the repeater.
Right.
You have to get under it a second year.
Right.
So if the Celtics' goal, and I don't know if this is their goal, but if their goal is to be like, hey, let's get under that tax, then they have to do it again next year, which means more cuts are coming, which kind of should inform you moving forward. Now, if they don't get under the tax this year, then maybe getting under the second apron, under the first apron, kind of resetting those is enough. And new ownership group's going to be like, hey, we'll pay a little in taxes. That's not a problem.
Yeah. But
we can't have draft picks frozen. We can't have all this other stuff. So that's really the one thing I'm looking to see. How far does Brad go? Is it second apron / first apron? Is that enough? Or are they going all the way down to the tax? In which case it's like, I think I should just remove soft from that first bullet point.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the interesting thing was what they can do with the third bullet point as well, but we can get to that. I think that, like, when you look at the moves that they've made so far, to me, the Garza one being the first move, right? That being like the first one, that's the first guy that you brought in. That is just very telling, right? And I think you can, I mean, obviously, I posted this on Blue Sky the other day. It's wild that the CBA has created a situation where, you got rid of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, and you still can't afford Luke Cornett. Like, that is kind of a wild situation. And certainly like the Celtics are, uniquely positioned where they had a very expensive roster and a lot of good players. So it's not just, 1 + 1 = 2 there, but it is kind of telling that that's the case. But yeah, I mean, look, I think the way this CBA is built, the way this team has to tear things down, they can take the season. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. Like, they can take this upcoming season and throw it away a little bit and have some options, give themselves some future flexibility. It doesn't look pretty. It's going to be tough to watch. It's going to be really tough to watch after what we've seen the last couple of years and the amount of talent that they had on the floor and the way they all played together. It's probably going to be tough for Joe Mazzulla to coach. Like, he's a competitive guy. I don't think he's going to enjoy this one bit. But if all that is aside, from a team building perspective, Brad Stevens is very smart. He knows what he's doing. I mean, I saw somebody saying that getting off the Porzingis and the Holiday contracts felt like the last helicopter out of Saigon, because it went before everybody started tearing things down. And it's like, it does kind of feel that way, but it is still a very viable team building process to tear this team down a little bit right now, when you've taken on these hits, when you know that, even if Tatum does come back next year, chances are you're not getting 100% Jayson. Even if 100% Jayson Tatum comes back in the future, you're probably not getting 100% Jayson Tatum next season, no matter when he does come back, no matter, how early that is. Like, next season's going to be a little bit of a transition year anyway. So one way or the other, like, there is certainly plenty of justification for moving in a tankish direction, whether that's soft or whether you're right, like whether that is just a hard tank, whether it makes team building sense either way, I think.
The reason I just go into soft tank is because you still have Jaylen, you still have Derek, you still have Peyton Pritchard, you'll still have, I believe, Sam Hauser. You have guys who are good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And better that, like, you look at the tanking teams of these past few seasons. The team I just mentioned, those guys, plus whomever is left, is still pretty good. You'll just have, more rookies. You have more from these guys. You have to take a look at Garza. You have to take a look at Minot. You have to see if you can find cheap versions. Like, you couldn't afford Luke Cornett. So can Luka Garza do what Luke Cornett did? What percentage of what Luke did can he do? And how does that relate to the percentage of how much you're paying him versus what you would have paid Luke? You know what I'm saying? So if you're getting 80% of Luke's production from Luka Garza, let's say, at 50% of the money, well, that's a big win. Sure. And you can move forward with that. If you're getting 50% of the production at 50% of the money, it's like, well, that's not really, much above replacement. You have to find somebody else to do that. Maybe it's Jock Landale who just got released. Yeah. I don't know. But whoever it is, like the Celtics have to next season do all of that. Like you have to give these guys minutes. And that's going to be the Joe Mazzulla challenge is, I know you don't like rookies, but Hugo Gonzalez is going to have to play a little bit just so you can see what you have. You're going to have to start playing some of these guys and let them play through some mistakes. And that's going to be the challenge.
And that's where maybe the tank gets a little bit harder. A little bit less soft is when you're playing those rookies all that time. Yeah.
Right. But I'll come back. I'll tell you what, Joe Mazzulla, it's so funny because I deal with a lot of questions, Q&A from the mailbag, from Boston Sports Journal and all that stuff. I see all the people hating on Joe Mazzulla. I have a feeling that he's going to do something that will make those people happy next year, but will be actually bad for the team. We'll get into that as we get into the Al Horford stuff when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Going to these games is a lot of fun, whether you want to get out there and watch baseball, or if you want to go to a soccer game, or if you want to go to a concert, if you want to go to a comedy show, whatever it is, live events are awesome. Game Time is here to make getting these tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices drop right before game time or showtime. You can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. I've been using Game Time a bunch, so there's a special offer coming up that I can't use that you will use. But I know for a fact, because I've used it, that you can get into you open up the app and you can see the zone deals. You can see the panoramic seat view right from your app. You can see that there are the price that you pay, the price that you see is the price you're going to pay. The fees are right up front. So that's all on the app. I've used it. I've seen it. I've gotten it. It's great. If your plans change, the Game Time guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets, show tickets, game tickets, whatever with the Game Time app. Create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I've made many purchases, so I'm done with the $20 off, but you can get it off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. There's 2 podcasts on that feed, 2 for the price of 1, which is also $0. I am there. I will be there. I'm recording this show first, and then I'm going to go record with Jake Madison, Locked On NBA, covering free agency, a big reported 7-team trade. We got Jonas Valanciunas just ditching the NBA to go to Greece, which, hey, not a bad idea if you're as far as I'm concerned. But, hey, all of that stuff is coming up on Locked On NBA. Tom, Joe Mazzulla, a lot of people are looking at him as like, oh, this is going to be a year we're going to see what Joe is really made of. I know firsthand exactly how competitive Joe Mazzulla is. I feel like he will look at this year, like you talked about it, he'll see it as a challenge. I feel like he's going to be like, hey, you know what? He's going to put up a middle finger to his bosses, and he's going to be like, this is the crap that you're giving me? No problem. Watch me win with these guys. He's going to find a way to tap into these guys. They're going to win more games than people think, and he's going to win over the people who are like, I don't know what kind of coach Joe is. Like I think he's going to have a year where those folks are going to be like, oh, wow, okay, he's better than I thought. And the folks in the front office are like, oh, man, he's too good for this job. We were supposed to lose these games, and he's finding ways to win. I don't get it. So I don't know, man. I think there's a real possibility that Joe will keep this as a soft tank. Guys will make mistakes because they make mistakes. But I just feel like Joe will tap into something with some of these guys.
Well, if he does, and he does give his boss the middle finger, his boss can't really be too mad, because if you remember the first, those first couple of Brad Stevens years, right? Especially that first year, he was supposed to tank. Like, that team was supposed to be bad. They were supposed to draft
him. Isaiah Thomas's fault.
Yeah, well, not the first one though. The first year of Brad Stevens, he did not have Isaiah Thomas, and he still was half decent. Not half decent, he was still pretty bad, but he was like, he won more games than he should have, and the Celtics then lost a chance to draft like Andrew Wiggins or Jabari Parker. Like, it really wasn't a big deal. They drafted Marcus Smart instead, who was, I don't know, probably better than both of those guys. I guess you could make a case for Wiggins. I don't know, but one way or the other, like, he ended up getting Marcus Smart, and it was fine. And, life worked out for the Celtics in ways that didn't involve the draft. Well, until later. Anyway, like, Joe would be standing in good shoes if he followed in Brad's footsteps there. Like,
Danny will text Brad and be like, "Oh, see, how do you like it? How do you like it when a coach is too good to tank?"
Yeah. Anytime that Brad brings up AJ Dibansa, he just sends him a picture of Jabari Parker, like, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, okay." But yeah, no, I think Joe is. I mean, for one thing, I do think it's just your first point. I think it's funny that people are like, "What's Joe made of?" I don't know. He won a title. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, yeah, he's pretty good. Whatever you want to say about him. I mean, we'll definitely see how he does with a worse roster. Like, yes, that's true. We will see what Joe Mazzulla does with a depleted roster. But I think he's a pretty good coach one way or the other.
Right.
But I do think that, yeah, he's a very competitive guy. I think that whatever he can get out of these guys, he's a very motivational guy. I think whatever is possible to get out of this roster, he'll try to get it out. Then we'll just have to see what that entails.
Now, the question is, will that entail Al Horford minutes? Or is Al Horford gone? All of the reporting makes it seem like Al is gone.
Yeah.
And the question I really have, and I can't get an answer to, is this Al's decision, or is it the team's decision, or is it a mutual decision? Be like, Al could be looking at the last year or so. I mean, he's contemplating retirement.
Yeah.
So Al could be looking at this and be like, look, I just don't want to be part of a tank.
Yeah.
Or whatever the Celtics are. I just don't want to be part of that. Now, the reports are that he is going to go to Golden State, and I don't know that Golden State is the best option for him either. It is fit-wise, I think, but are the Warriors going to win a championship next year? I don't know about that. And like, they just announced it. He's having another kid. The Al Horford has 5 kids meme is going to go to Al Horford has 6 kids. He's going to have 6 kids by December. Do you really want to uproot your family and travel across country and move to San Francisco to you're going to have all 6 of your kids with you there? Why not just stay in Boston? Just hang out. You got your championship. Just hang out in Boston. Just be here, man. And I feel like if the Celtics were willing to pay him the minimum and he was willing to take it, he would stay. But I just question, are the Celtics willing to do that? Is he willing to do that? I don't know what the deal is here.
Yeah, I mean, it does make it feel a little bit more like it's a, that it is a team decision, because you're right. On the other hand, like, I can imagine, can't you kind of imagine being Al and just not wanting to play like a losing season? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, all respect to these young guys and everything, I'm sure, yada yada, but like, when the point of the season is to see what you have in Baylor Shireman, it does kind of feel like, if you're Al Horford, you're like,
yeah,
enjoy. Like,
yeah.
I've done too much in my career,
guys, but no.
Like, and especially like as we're seeing guys get injured from the pace and the how hard this game is to play now. It's like, if you're Horford and you can put yourself in a position to potentially win another title, or even just compete deep into the playoffs and be an impact player, like, for sure. But how much of an impact player are you on a team where the young guys are the bigger focus? Like, that's, to me, that if I'm him, I'm just kind of, all the family stuff. I would just be ready to retire. Like, I don't know. I mean, because I don't think I would want to uproot. I mean, I wouldn't want to uproot one kid, let alone, like his entire family. Like that's a big decision. And obviously, money makes everything a little bit easier, but it doesn't solve all those problems. It doesn't solve like, his son being in basketball circuits. Like he's playing youth basketball. He's making friends and being in a school system. Like those are hard things to just kind of rip up. So, I mean, to me, it would feel very much like, as soon as Tatum got hurt, maybe a little bit of clarity. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong because like I'm just speaking for myself here, obviously. But like if it were me, I would just kind of feel like that's like a little bit of a hint of like, okay, you know what? I'm probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't be shocked if the number 42 is never worn again in Boston. Like,
sure,
what a career, what a time to just call it.
And this is the hardest thing. And I never want to tell a guy to retire.
Oh, absolutely not. Not advising anything.
And I know that's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you're right. It would be a hell of a time. It feels like a good time. But look, I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
At 52 almost, I'm like, man, I never miss playing until I'm in the locker room and I see the guys interacting with one another. And I'm like, that's the stuff. When I see guys talking to one another, busting each other's chops, all of that stuff, I'm like, ugh, I never miss practices. I never miss a game. I don't miss all of the crazy work that you had to do, but I do miss the camaraderie. It keeps you young. And Al is playing until he's 40, and he's got all of these guys, looking up to him. He's got all these guys. He's been pretty successful. I look at Al and I'm like, and you got your kid walking through the locker room with you and doing all this stuff. This is awesome.
Yeah. Why
would you give that up? Why? I wouldn't. I'd play until they kicked me out. But the question becomes like, do you want to play in Boston? I'm sure the Celtics, if he said I'll play for the minimum, why wouldn't they want him for the minimum?
Of course.
So
yeah.
I don't know. If he wants to play for the minimum, if he goes to Golden State, I'm assuming that he's getting like $5 million a year, that he's going to get the taxpayer mid-level. And money's not the issue over there because they'll pay any money, but
yeah,
maybe I'm just being wistful.
No, but I
just want Al Horford around because he's good to have around.
And I know you got to go to a break, but I do want to point out too, one thing. I think you touched on something important there too. Like if he does go somewhere else where he's got a better chance of winning, one thing to remember, right, is that like his son is going to probably be a really good player, right? Like and what his son has been able to be around over the last 2 years is a championship basketball team. Mm-hmm. Like he's been around that. He's been in that locker room. If Al Horford goes somewhere else and his son can be around more good basketball situations, there probably is something to that as well. Like not that being around Joe Mazzulla is ever going to be a bad thing, but if you go somewhere else that's another winning situation and you're like, hey, I think my son has a future in this. I mean, there's something to be said for playing somewhere good just purely for that.
That's a good point. Showing him that you don't always stay with the same team.
Yeah.
That you got to learn. You got to learn that it's a tough business, and sometimes you got to go somewhere else.
You got to advocate for yourself a little bit. Yeah.
This. Damn it. That's it. That's the argument. That is going to be why he's doing it. That you show your kid, doesn't matter how old you are, minimum, these guys are offering you more money. You got to value yourself, and you got to be ready to go from one city to another. We love everybody in Boston. We got to go to another city. This is the tough part of NBA life. You got to see what it's like and see what a different locker room is like. And you know what? You get to hang out with Steph Curry, who's awesome.
Right.
And Steve Kerr, who is awesome. And Draymond Green, who, despite the public stuff, I'm sure in the locker room is mostly great with his teammates. And but great with their kids.
I bet he's great with their kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, it took a long way to get there, but damn it, we just figured out why it makes perfect sense for Al Horford to go to Golden State.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if we can solve another problem. Let's come back and figure out if Damian Lillard makes sense in Boston. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. We got Locked On for every team. Whatever team makes a trade, you can get to a Locked On NBA team, whatever team that is. If you like other sports, if you like all Boston sports, Locked On Red Sox, Bruins, Patriots, it's all there. So check those out. Same place you got this podcast. All right, we solved the Al Horford situation. Makes perfect sense. Now Damian Lillard. Does he make sense, Tom? Does he make sense coming to Boston?
Yes. Yeah, I think it does.
My man.
No, I think I think it makes like a shocking amount of sense, right? Like, you have a chance to bring in a guy like for cheap who can rehab with Tatum. And I mean, I think that there's something to be said, something intangible to be said for having 2-star guys like rehabbing together, motivating each other a little bit.
Yeah.
2 guys who have a connection previously from Team USA. Like whatever Lillard becomes after this, it obviously won't be prime Damian Lillard, but there's so much. The thing about Damian Lillard is that he's always had a lot to his game. And that is, so he's not just an athleticism guy. There's so much skill there. And one of those skills is shooting 3-pointers from very far away. We know that is a very helpful thing on this team. I think it makes a ton of sense if they can make it happen. If he's interested in it, I think, yeah, absolutely, go for it. You want to talk about soft tanking? You want to talk about a perfect way to kind of show, hey, we're serious about winning. It's just that this year isn't going to be our year.
Yeah.
I think bringing in Damian Lillard is a great way to message that to everybody.
Yeah. 2-year deal or something like that.
Yeah.
Let him come in, get a chance. And he has the options like, hey, you're right. You've played on Team USA. You've got Jayson. You've got Jaylen. You've got an organization, a premier organization. You've played for, the Bucks and the Blazers and all that stuff. You haven't stepped into what it's like to play for a team like the Celtics. Why not end your career, like that? To me, on a minimum deal, absolutely. And, having a guy like that around Tatum to be like, hey, this is what I think of when I'm, hitting those shots, those Dame time shots, those last second, that feeling of just having that guy around. I feel like that's, if you're losing Al Horford, you can do worse than having Damian Lillard step into your locker room. By all accounts, Dame is great with his teammates. That's one of the most loyal, kind of fiercely competitive, there for his teammates. I mean, who's more there for his teammates than a guy who played in Portland all that time?
Right.
And, didn't leave until like the very end when Portland was forced to, basically they wanted to tank. He wanted to win and they mutual decision. So yeah, I said I was asked a question yesterday in the Mailbag podcast, and I think it still applies. I just feel like he can at the very least finish off his career as just an elite shooter.
Yeah.
Next to these guys.
Yeah.
And okay, so you don't play him down the stretch in the fourth quarter unless you need somebody to hit a big shot, and then maybe he does hit that big shot. But
yeah,
having that guy around as a kind of bridge to like this next version of the Celtics, which it's so interesting. And this is probably an entirely new podcast that I'm starting at 29 minutes, but
as we do
that a lot. You have this whole next season is figuring out what cheap pieces can do, kind of Indiana Pacers-ish, like who can be your shooter, who can be your this guy, who can be your that guy, and you find these little pieces who make $5 million, $8 million, $9 million, whatever, and you put them around your big money guys, and having a guy like Dame to tie it all together, that's not bad. It's really not that bad. And if we're talking about a minimum deal or close to the minimum deal, absolutely bring them on. I look forward. I would love to spend 15 minutes talking to Damian Lillard about everything that he's seen in basketball.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think you're right that it would be great for the other players. I think that it would be great for Tatum. I think it would be really interesting to see like how he is in the locker room on a team that he actually wants to be on. You know, it sounds like he's actually open to going to Boston as opposed to Milwaukee. I mean, I think there's probably something to that. I also think it would be kind of a little bit funny if the Celtics first fleeced the Bucks by getting Drew Holiday so they could win championships, and then took the guy that the Bucks got as a result of giving up Drew Holiday, and then had him be a useful member of their team. There would be some amount of something funny there for sure.
I would enjoy that. I would enjoy that very much.
I mean, just, you know, like from slander purposes, it would be very funny. But
listen, you got to factor slander purposes into everything when it comes to talking about the NBA.
You do. Yeah. Just is what it is. At least we do.
Factor has to be accounted for.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this would be a prime opportunity for Brad to account for the slander factor without actually doing anything actively damaging for his team. So it's kind of perfect. So yeah, I think do it if you've got the opportunity. I mean, absolutely.
I agree.
It'd be an unbelievable stroke of luck in a season that does not look like it's going to have a ton of strokes of luck. Maybe this would be an opportunity to claim one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to having somebody with Dame's personality around too. So that'd be fun. All right, Tom Westerholm. Speaking of personality, Tom Westerholm.
It's this guy.
It's that guy.
Appreciate
all right, Tom. Appreciate you, man. And I always appreciate you, the listener, the viewer here on the YouTube page watching, or if you're listening, whatever it is you're doing on a daily basis. If you're an everydayer, I love you. You know I love you being here with me Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for doing so. Would love to have more of you become everydayers. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch the show on YouTube, get into the comments section there, share your thoughts with me, with Tom, just whatever thoughts you have. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day.